Hi, I'm Anna Gallegos, joined here with John Garcia, and we're live in the Tennessean office here to talk about the first game of the playoffs between the Nashville Predators and the Colorado Avalanche. If you are seeing us right now live on Facebook, please feel free to ask us questions about anything about this series, especially about the Predators. So, of course, this is the first game, and the Predators come in as the clear #1 seed, winning the President's Trophy.
President's Trophy winner, yeah.
Yep. And then Colorado kind of just squeaking in with that last game against the Blues. So, what should we expect? I mean, Colorado's the clear underdog here.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that the Predators should expect is for the Avalanche to play hard. They are coming in with house money. They're the 8th seed, playing a #1 seed. Nashville knows what that's like because they did that last year, but we'll get to that in a second. But the Avalanche had to claw and grind and get their way just into the playoffs, and now their reward for that is playing the #1 seed. But as we've heard from us when we talk about the series, or for many of the prognosticators or experts that have talked about this series, not really anyone's giving the Avalanche a shot. There's some fairness to that because if you look up and down the lineup, whether it's center depth, goalies, defense, forward, anything like that, the Predators have a clear edge. But again, the Avalanche are playing with house money. If they don't win this series, it's not going to be that big of a deal as far as their fan base goes or the team goes, because they're a couple years or a year or so ahead of schedule because no one expected them to make the playoffs this year. And credit coach Jared Bednar for getting them to that point. But as we mentioned, looking at last year versus this year, there are a couple things that are a little bit different, right? Whereas Colorado wasn't expected to make the playoffs this year, where last year people were saying that the Nashville Predators could possibly go on a deep cup run and they could maybe win the Stanley Cup. And of course, through the regular season, that didn't really happen. But they were in prime position as an 8 seed to do all those things and make a deep run. Now, and no one really expected them to beat the Blackhawks the way that they did, but they did, and, the rest is history. But I don't see the the Avalanche being the quality caliber of team that the Predators were last year.
Yeah, so no sweeps coming from Avalanche.
I mean, hey, anything is possible in the NHL, but no, I do not think that's going to happen at all.
Yeah, just looking at the projected lineups right now, not Colorado. Preds definitely come in with a certain amount of strength and kind of like veterans who have been through playoff runs, both the guys who were here last season and even guys that just started this season, like Bonino. I mean, he's been to the playoffs almost every single year since 2011. With his previous teams, especially the Preds, or not the Preds, especially the Penguins. So I mean, like, they come in with experience and definitely, the depth that the Predators have versus the more rookie-based Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, and especially when you look at up and down the lineup. I mean, the center depth that the Predators have is crazy when you're rolling with Ryan Johansson. This isn't the New Jersey Devils. Ryan Johansson, Kyle Turris, Nick Bonino, and Mike Fisher. That is the projected lineup for Game 1. I mean, that's incredible center depth, and that's something that, we've expected all year. And then you look at the Colorado Avalanche, and their first line is absolutely amazing. Gabriel Landeskog, Nathan MacKinnon, and Mikko Rantanen. But after that, the depth starts to fall off a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, Tyson Jost and Carl Soderberg are going to be your second and third line centers. I mean, not really the same caliber that Nashville has. So if you're looking just even at the forwards, and we're not even getting into defense yet, which is just like up here and down here, it's the Predators have a clear-cut advantage when it comes through to forwards, and as long as they can keep that first line in check, they should have a real good avenue to win this series.
Yeah, but, it's definitely worth keeping an eye on Colorado's first line. Like what you said, Landeskog, McKinnon, and Rantanen. McKinnon's been thrown out there as like a potential Hart nominee.
And he probably should, depending on who you talk to. It's Taylor Hall, Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah, so it's like we're definitely expecting McKinnon and his entire line to bring his A game. But as long as, the Predators' blue line can shut him down.
Sure, and that's where we don't have. We will have to wait and see who Peter Laviolette throws at Nathan McKinnon and his line, whether it's going to be Ekholm and Subban, or whether it's going to be Yossi and Ellis. Ekholm and Subban did a lot of shutdown minutes last year in the playoffs, so that could probably be the defensive duo that's going to be matching up against that line. But even if you go Yossi and Ellis, that's still, again, it's just what's the term that I'm looking for? Just a wealth of defensemen.
Yeah. And
no matter who you throw at it, they're going to have their hands full, and that's the main line that you want to be concerned with. But even out of that line, you have people that can match up with each of their forward lines.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of defensemen, one thing that puts Colorado at a unique disadvantage is that they are lacking an Eric Johnson.
Mm-hmm. They've got the Tyson Barrie, but they're missing the Eric Johnson.
Yeah.
That's going to hurt them.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at what they're doing. I mean, Samuel Girard, former Predator, is getting a lot of minutes, and he's brand new to the NHL, just started this season. It's going to be tough for them. I think that's going to be their biggest weakness. It'd be defense, goaltending, then forwards, in my opinion. But that's really going to be the area and avenue that the Predators should exploit, because we know that they're a fast team. We know that they've got guys on their roster like Mika Salomaki that can hit really hard. And you've got superstars like Philip Forsberg, Victor Arvidsson, Kyle Turris, Ryan Johansson, all these guys that are just have all this firepower to cut through the defense and get some shots on goal.
And just looking at the Predators' lineup, or projected lineup tonight, since we really won't know who's going to be on the ice until, the practice skate right before the game, there is at least a couple notable scratches. Hartnell's not expected to play.
Yeah, did that surprise you? It kind of surprised me, but kind of not really. Yeah, and the reason that it surprised me was mostly for his playoff experience, right? He hasn't had that much success in the playoffs, other than I think the most that he ever scored was when the Philadelphia Flyers went to the Stanley Cup final back in 2010, the 2009-2010 season. But that's still a lot of experience that you are taking out of the lineup to replace for Mika Salomaki. But at the same time, Mika Salomaki has played really well down the stretch. He adds speed into the game, which the Predators are going to need against the Avalanche. And he also can hit like a truck. And to have that physical bottom six is huge in this series.
And if you saw Joe Reckrod's column about Salomaki, he's kind of a relative unknown compared to some of the much other big names on the Preds lineup. So this could definitely be like a breakout series for him.
For sure, and that's Joe Rexrod's column talked exactly about that. You had people last year, Colton Sissons, Freddie Gaudreau, Harry Zolnarchuk, all these people that Predators fans know really well, but everyone outside, unless you're just a diehard hockey fan, that you may not know the name of. And Mika Salomaki has played with the Predators for several years now, but he's been in and out of the lineup. He's been up and down from Milwaukee to Nashville, and he hasn't really cemented himself on the roster full time. And he's also dealt with some injuries too. Let's not discount that. But yeah, again, his play down the stretch has been really, really great. And now Colton Sissons is known around the NHL. There aren't very many people elsewhere on the Predators roster that are relative unknowns. So, yeah, as Joe Rexrod said, he is the supposed folk hero for this series, the one that could be the breakout star.
And then noticeable absence is Eli Tolivin. If he starts tonight, unlikely. But...
Yeah, and I honestly, right now, I think that's a good decision. He's brand new to the NHL. We know that he's very talented. He has experience playing in championship games, whether it's in the KHL, whether it's the World Juniors, any other places like that. But While he's still getting used to the game, especially with the Predators wanting to start the series off on the right foot,
Yeah.
having him kind of look and observe from the press box as what the NHL hockey is going to be and what the team wants to do so that the coaches can work with him, I think that's a good thing. And, I mean, I think you should expect to see him in the lineup for the series at some point, especially if the Predators get out to, let's say, like a 2-0 lead. Peter Laviolette should definitely trust him enough to get him into that lineup, but I think holding him out for at least the first game is a good decision.
Yeah, like I definitely expect him to see some ice time further into the series, especially as the Preds get more comfortable on the ice and, definitely have a chance to assess the team that they're going up against.